Are there any participants online who would wish to speak? Okay. Hearing no members from the public, we'll move on to the approval of the meeting minutes from our September 20th, 2023 meeting. We have updated the draft meeting transcript from the September 20th, 23 meeting, planning committee meeting. The email was sent out on Friday, October 20th to the members, minor revisions to the attendees. We added Vidalia and David Gilmore from the LaBerge Group as online attendees. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. Copies have been updated, transcripts distributed to the members, and would just ask if the members have any other comments on the meeting minutes. If not, I will ask for a motion to accept the approval of the meeting minutes from September 20th, 2023. Ask for a motion.
I'll make it.
Second, Jacob. Charlie did first, Jacob second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting minutes of September 20th, 2023 are approved. Moving on to communications and announcements. We did receive a comment on September 28th related to the long-range transportation plan in our OCTC mailbox. That actually predated the official public comment period. We'll take that into consideration as we review all of our communication related to the LRTP update. As a reminder, a NOFO for TAP, CMAQ, CRP funding was distributed to the Orange County Transportation Council mailing list on October 3rd, 2023. Applications are due on January 9th of 2024 by 5 p.m. So just a reminder to our members that that opportunity is available. I believe the funding availability is up to $5 million in this round for projects. And it's a really good opportunity for local projects. I'm going to move on to reports and actions on old business. In terms of the Orange County Transportation Council staff reports, the planning department has welcomed a new planner trainee, Veronica Fernandez Rogers, on October 16th, and we will be welcoming a GIS technician, Michael Olmez, who will be joining us on October 30th. Both Veronica and Michael bring GIS experience to the department, and we're very excited to have them both joining our team. We had Amy Carr from our office, who's rejoined the department this past Monday as an account clerk. So even though, you know, we're still adjusting with the loss of Lauren Bennett. You know, we are moving things forward, right? And we're in good hands. So it's all team effort, and that's something I'll refer to a number of times as we go through this our meeting today. So any comments or questions on the staff reports? Okay. In terms of project updates, the long-range transportation plan and coordinated plan, per the federal transportation regulations, every 4 years, the MPO is required to update their long-range transportation plan and public transit and human services plan, what we refer to as the coordinated plan. We'll review these projects further under the new business portion of our meeting. Now I'll just pass it around. Are there any other member reports that they wish to share?
We got 3 bids on our light hike project, and one actually will be, I think, good if it's vetted properly.
I think I heard the good news.
Yeah, so the good news is that will get done and get put to bed.
Great.
Thank God.
And the low bid was under the engineer's
What?
estimate. It's like the first time I think it's happened in quite a while, so I really remember hearing that. Okay.
So that's all good news.
That is great.
We had no doubt you would bring
And that's one of the projects we partially funded with the CRP fund.
Correct.
So it's a really great project, and excited to see that moving forward. Any other members
I have a question. We are enlarging the walking trail in Crawford. You know, it's down in the drawn up maps down there in the planning department. And I know that's a push with the county here this year. Is there any, so what we did on the last one is we went in and we pretty much paid for the expansion, but we're doubling the size of it. Is there anything that would qualify for that? Walking trail, or because it doesn't connect communities or something, nothing qualifies?
You're talking, it's within the park, right? Or the
It's within the county land.
the watershed lands.
Right,
I don't think it would,
nothing through here.
I don't think the tap would really apply because it's got to be a transportation alternative, and it's more of a hiking trail. But I would keep an eye out for the consolidated funding application when it comes out in the spring.
Right.
Through parks, there may be something.
Right, okay.
Glad you asked that question, because we may have something on county land at Space Park. We're gonna do a walking trail on the interior and along the Never Sink River. And maybe a launch for kayaks and stuff, and fishing stuff, so. I would fall under probably the same thing as Charlie just talked about. Possibly.
Yeah, the CFA, the DEC, also, fishing access points, another agency to look at in terms of funding opportunities.
So what was the first project you said, the local one's up to 5 million? I missed that one.
That's the Transportation Alternatives Program.
Where do I get information? What is that one called?
TAP.
Okay, I know that one,
That's a
okay.
big one.
That's what I
So,
got. Dan
Did
McCann
you
works
guys
on those.
send something out though?
We,
You sent an email recently, right?
we did, yeah, there's, if you check.
There is something?
emails-
Okay.
It's,
Maureen, if you could make a note,
Google
please.
even
Absolutely.
We'll
Transportation
resend
for New York State DOT,
Okay.
it'll probably bring you up. There you go.
I got
like
two
this,
going
Charlie,
right
this
now,
is just
so
a
I'll-
little blurb that we had edited for you guys, but this is what the doc looked like.
Okay. Go now, it says, okay, so it's going to go, funds require license, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's a very good program.
I'll pull
We
it.
have to have the
Okay.
20% local match
Yeah,
and resolution and support
All right.
from the municipality. So then I point that out only because the application's due January 9th, so.
I think we got two of those going right now, right? 302 and 52.
and there's
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah,
free
that's- yeah.
application submission, I think it's in November.
Yes.
Right.
I don't know if that's mandatory or not, I don't recall.
The training's mandated. I know this,
The
training
training
is
definitely,
mandatory.
and they added another training date too.
Yes,
So-
November's, I don't want to guess,
Something,
it's like
yeah.
early, very early September, November.
Are you gonna forward that to all of us?
You want me to, Denise? Absolutely. We sent it out to you guys. Did you?
Um,
You probably, it's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we got it.
That's all right.
Went into
No
the
problem.
basket.
Not a problem. I'll resend it to you guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll redistribute it.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, any other member reports?
So the traffic operations in Middletown, it's moving along very well. We are yet to receive one traffic pole or mast or pedestrian because they're all just act up, I guess. So they keep telling us every few weeks, so now it's another few weeks. But we expect them to be
Oh,
installed in
ordering.
the winter for the poles and the traffic lights.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we expect them to be installed, hopefully, if we have a mild winter, we'll continue to work through winter. And it's moving along, hopefully we'll be done next year with the whole project, which is fantastic. It's a major facelift throughout the city, really.
yeah.
And
It's definitely an improvement.
yeah, and maybe Travis will update us on the Heritage Trail.
Okay.
I don't know if he's there,
Okay.
I think she's,
I think Travis isn't, not to put you on the spot, Travis, anything?
There's the man.
Any
Good
updates?
morning. Absolutely. Segment 3, which is the section of the trail from West Main Street to Ingracia Road. We're making good headway with ironing out a couple of the right-of-way access issues that we had. We're anticipating that the design report's gonna get up to the state very soon on that project. And we've also been working with your department, Alan, and the city of Middletown on the connection between East Main Street and West Main Street in the city of Middletown. Those are the projects that are on the tip, but also just as far as updates on the trail in general. We have a project where we're replacing the wooden bridge decks from Chester to Monroe that should be going out to bid by the end of the year. And then in the end of 2024, we'll be repaving that section of the trail from Chester to Monroe.
Great. Okay. Anything else? Any questions on that? I was almost remiss in just providing a quick update on the Scunnamunk Trail. We were working through the property acquisition. So we're getting very, very close of the county acquiring the 10-mile right away from the Open Space Institute. And Travis, Martha, the whole team, Stacy have all been working through the RFQ for the design consulting services, and we're hoping to get that out in the street in the next few weeks. So that's moving along well. I'll just ask one more time, any other member update reports? Okay, if not, we're going to move along. Next, we have the Federal Highway Administration Urban Area Boundary Adjustment. I sent an email on behalf of OCTC on September 22nd supporting the adjusted urban boundaries. The regional MPO support email was due on the 16th, so that was provided. New York State DOT submits the final urban area boundary adjustment to Federal Highway the week of October 30th. Federal Highway acceptance week is November 27th, with the anticipated final FHWA approval on December 29th, 23. So that's what I have in terms of that update. Bridge New York scoring process. We shared with the members, the New York State DOT Bridge New York planning process guidance via email to the planning committee members. There are also handouts and scoring process available if you're not already received those. Any questions? Okay. Going to go on to new business. Transportation Improvement Program. We had discussed at the last meeting a TIP amendment, which would be TIP Amendment 2023-06. And that amendment is adding one project to the TIP. It would be PIN 8T007, which is for KJ Transit Services, which includes the purchase of 7 buses as previously discussed under the Village of Curious Joel bus request. Funds programmed for the fiscal year 2025 with Section 5307 funds. And just a reminder to the members, 5307 is a 80% FTA, 10% DOT, 10% local match. We do feel there is a compelling need for the additional buses. The total request from KJ, if you recall, was for 10 buses. 3 are already in the pipeline to be purchased. And this TIP amendment would be for the additional 7 buses. As I've mentioned, we have sufficient funds to accommodate this request. And anticipated future requests from the other service providers. Rob, is there anything you might want to add to this?
No, that was a good summary.
Did the meeting ever occur with the town of Monroe in the village?
We sent out a request for that meeting. That has not occurred yet, so it's just a matter of getting the parties involved. But I absolutely want to have a sit down and go through that. I do feel the request, Rob and I have looked at it. I've, looked at some of it, the ridership data, et cetera. This is, a TIP amendment. I feel strongly we should move forward.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the bus purchase. That
Yeah.
makes sense, but that was one issue raised by Supervisor Cardone. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see that happen and hear about it.
Yeah, I'm committed to making that happen. Rob and I both reached out and asked to have that meeting, so we'll continue to.
But Tony and I were supposed to meet with Rob last week. We both couldn't make it. So we wanted to see some of the numbers and things and meet with Rob. So, I've still never seen the numbers. And if they're operating on 10 buses right now, 6 buses right now, what is the?
County owned, I mean, Gedalia's on, he may know off the top of it, county owned, I wanna say it's 12 or 14, but then they supplement that with their own buses that they purchased on their own. So I think the whole operation's like 20 buses now.
Okay, I've never seen the numbers, so I'll put that on the record there. I've been asking to see the way they were broken down. I keep hearing they're out there, but I've never seen them, and I've never seen how they're calculated, and I know Tony wanted to see that also.
Okay.
So we could not make last Thursday. I apologize, but I don't know where he was running around, I was running around. I think
Which
we're
number
open to meeting again.
specifically?
How they came up with the calculations that the ridership doubled.
Oh, all right, yeah, I can get you that after this, yeah.
Yeah, I want to see if it's the same formula they used to use, how this doubling came about.
Okay, sure.
I mean, I think there's a need for buses, but I don't know that there's a need to go 10 buses. Unless, prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, I'll share that, yeah, because you weren't in person at that meeting, and I don't think,
I wasn't there.
I don't think the MPO sent out the chart that
It
I.
never went out. No,
So I
at
can
least I
share
didn't see it.
that, and, yeah, that
That's
shows
what Tony and I
everyone's
thought we were
numbers.
gonna meet you last week, but he was busy and I was busy.
Sure.
Okay. Gedalia, I see you're on the line. Is there anything that you would like to offer or speak to?
No, I think the numbers of riders speaks for themselves. As you said, we already added 9 buses of our own. By the Village of Kirkjoe, we submitted a chart of all the buses we have. I think it's in the range. I don't have the chart in front of me, but you have it, and we could share that again. But at this point, people are traveling in a subhuman way, with mothers and baby carriages and strollers standing for a lot of the trips, and being in an unsafe condition. Everybody agrees that there's a need for new buses. I understand there is a question of whether it's 10 new or it's 9 new or 8 new. We could definitely provide analysis and study on that. But I would very desperately beg you all to give us the new buses to provide a safe set of services to the residents. Will accommodate any meetings requests that comes from the county or from neighboring municipalities to discuss the routes of the buses and some of the dial-a-bus issues. But I think we covered all of the issues in the last maybe 4 meetings that we had these discussions, and we would desperately want some action. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I guess I know you've had your consultants working on some preliminary analyses. How quickly can you provide some additional documentation to share with the members?
If the county wants to give us, if the committee wants to give us a timeline by when they want to have a final report, I think we shared a very preliminary first draft with county staff. Since it wasn't complete, we asked the county not to distribute it to all until we have the final product. And we will have the final product soon. But I think that the county has summarized what's in the report already, and we could have. I think we could have the final product in about 2 weeks.
Okay. With his final report provided in 2 weeks, are you comfortable with that?
Does this go to the policy committee, right?
But to be clear, we already submitted a first draft to the county, which shows actually a need for more than 10 buses. If we also include future growth into the system, the 10 is for the current numbers that we already have, we very strongly believe that there's going to be a need for more than the 10 as growth of the system and popularity of the system becomes more and more widespread. But I think we made a solid case by an independent engineer that looked at the numbers and the data and the statistics, and we submitted that first draft to the county planning staff.
But, and Rob's gonna share what he's got, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
share
Yeah,
it with
yes,
us, so
yeah.
Charlie, Tony, you'll review
We'll
that,
see it.
we'll all
Yeah.
review it, right? We're gonna go to this policy meeting with the amendment,
Yeah.
or the tip amendment, so, you know,
So I would just ask for consensus to put it onto the policy board meeting in December with the caveat that we have the
Yeah,
report in 2
absolutely.
weeks.
Yep.
Okay,
That's fine.
I make the motion.
okay.
If you want a motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Subject to getting him all the numbers on.
Right.
As
Before.
stated.
And those members online, Gedalia, you're in favor? Yes.
I assume so.
We've moved it on to the policy board.
You can't hear us.
Okay. All right. No further comments on that. I'm going to move on to the City of Middletown project sponsor funding request. I'll give a brief summary, then I'll ask Jacob just to provide some additional details. So it's an additional $640,000 in funds are being requested from Middletown Traffic Operations for the construction inspection funds. The MTA only had enough funding allocated to cover it for construction inspection costs for years 2 of the 3 years of the phase construction. They are currently nearing the end of year 2. And this, Jacob, just to clarify, this is a request for CMAQ funding?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan. So basically, if you recall, a couple of years ago when we came here asking for funding, Newburgh came at the same time and they asked for funding. So we said, okay, we were asking for even $1 million more at the time. And I think it was the funds were split between us and Newburgh. And, and we all voted for it. And now we are at the end of second year of construction, and we need additional funding that was never funded for the 3rd year for construction inspection. It's not added work, it's just the fund engineering for the construction inspection and construction management of the project. And that's what we are requesting the funds for. And there is adequate funding, I believe, in the CMAQ. And there is no, I don't believe there are any requests for it. And so we would like your support, the committee's support, to get this funding transferred to that project for construction inspection.
Okay, so this funding would, just to clarify then, this funding would come out of a CMAQ block pin for fiscal year 20, we have fiscal year 2025 availability of 640,000.
You don't have any other
So-
blocks before that? Did you fill your block?
Yeah, we have parked it all in the zone.
Okay. Okay. Right, and then you have another 3.3 million in 2026 and 3.3 again in 2027.
But you know, I love you, Jacob.
You're up in your game like I teased you last time and you came right back for 640,000.
Well,
You're good.
So I have 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
Could you provide us with like just a spreadsheet that how much the project has cost and where
Absolutely.
you're going?
Absolutely.
And partners, that would be helpful.
I'd be happy to.
What is this, engineering overruns?
No,
No,
not overruns.
inspection.
It was never, it's a construction inspection for the engineers. It's not overrun. It was never programmed. Last year not last year, a couple of years ago when we came asking for the funding, we had to split it between us and Newburgh, city of Newburgh, because they were anxious to get going with one of their projects. And we said, fine, and we voted on it. We were requesting much higher number, but we didn't have any money. So we said, okay, it is what it is. we'll approach it later on if there is funding. Now there is funding sitting there. We would like to, you know, take advantage of it, obviously, rather than sitting there and it's needed. But I will provide.
It'd just
the
be
entire-
helpful.
Absolutely.
Put it in perspective.
I think when I saw this too, I think I saw this 2 weeks ago, I asked our office to see if they were aware of any other Orange County local projects that were short on funding that would be eligible for this, because they didn't see them. And there were no other. So I just want to share that information since we did that research. And then the other thing for the team to think about is it's 600,000 and it's to be spent in 2025. So time, you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Just if you were to initiate a new project, time is a little bit.
It's too short to do.
So just throwing those pieces out.
Yeah, get that part. Okay. I had another question, but I forgot, and
Oh, sorry.
I'll remember it. I can't let Jacob off that one.
Well, this is an open-ended, so when
We
I
only got
provide you
2
the
months, we got 2
spreadsheet,
months of me, Jacob.
when I give you the spreadsheet, you're gonna have more questions, I'm sure.
The only other issue that, I remember the question, the other issue is this park and ride thing that KJ had, is it not? I mean, it wouldn't be really doable, right, anyway? Right, so, okay.
I'm sorry, John, did you say something?
Yeah, I just want to make, Jacob, this is going to get you to the end of your project, or is there anything else after this?
No, hopefully that will get us to the end.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is there
Thank
any
you.
local funding that you had to come up with?
Yeah, we have another like $4 or $5 million in total from city funding, but that's it for the construction. It's already been part of the bid process.
That's why I just asked to see what the shares were. That's
Yeah.
why.
So this should wrap up in early 24, mid 24? When do you think you're done?
Probably towards the end of it.
End of 24?
Yeah, if we might go into 25 because as I just said, there's a delay in delivering the poles for the traffic lights and the masts and the pedestrian crossing poles and so on.
Yeah, we run into that too.
Yeah, control panels and everything.
So that's when most of your construction inspection would occur.
Well, that's the full construction inspection for the year.
Yeah.
We have enough to take us through this year.
So the member is okay with us moving forward with a TIP amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
So Raina will coordinate with Sandra's staff to get a TIP amendment prepared
Absolutely.
for the policy board. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, some exciting news. Update on our fiscal year 2023 STIP performance. So the Transportation Council's unamended STIP performance reached 83.3%. The first time our MPO surpassed the expected performance rate from New York State T of 75% or higher. A dramatic increase and a reflection of the good work of the members and local project sponsors in efforts to continue improving OCTC transportation network. I want to thank my team within Orange County Planning Department and State DOT, our partners in the staffing the Transportation Council for all the good work to make this achievable. I'm not sure how we're going to ever surpass that. But we'll do our best. But if you look at the chart, which is up on the screen, you know, we almost doubled the performance year over year, from 46 to 83.3%. So again, reflection of the good work of this council, its members, and the local project sponsors. Doesn't happen by accident. It's a coordinated, sustained effort to make something like this possible.
Yeah, congratulations to all.
It's better than the region.
Good job.
Yeah, that's tremendous. I
Yes.
remember, Mike would remember probably many years ago, we were 20% or something and Mike is screaming.
Right here.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in the
Mike,
handout.
I remember Mike screaming, he said, all this money just keeps pushed over year after year after year.
I want to thank Sandra and Nicole for keeping us on task. So
Yes, thank you.
So
we get those
I
little
knew I had good
reminders.
memory.
I really only go back to 2017. So I said, Nicole, we've been doing this a while. Can you pull this up historically so we can see what's going on? Because I knew it was getting better,
Yeah.
but this really speaks to that commitment and trying to make good decisions early and, you know, just not overcommitting, but also not undercommitting, right? And so if we can, but it's a lot of effort. It's really constantly evaluating what we have planned, what we can do. So.
Does that mean we get more money now?
Well,
Right? I mean, come on.
I think if anything, really what it does though is it.
Exactly. We're excelling.
I know, but I think
It doesn't hurt.
you can keep that trend going, for
All
sure.
right.
But I think what it really does is it speaks to, I think, a lot of the grumbling and really frustration from years ago, right? Now we can say, you know, we heard everyone, getting the money spent is really important, and, you know, we're headed in the right direction, so.
That's right, and getting the money spent means completing projects.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
And I think the questionnaire thing that we did when Dan Depew was here, is helpful, right? Because
Mhm.
it disciplines locals.
Yeah, we'll be sending out local project sponsor questionnaires again in December, just as a reminder.
And now the new snapshot is out. So we sometimes call this the snapshot. So at the beginning of every federal fiscal year, October, our team back at State DOT with OCTC staff, 3 months before that, let's say in June, July, we're already looking at the next federal fiscal year and we're saying, okay, what projects are in that federal fiscal year, right? And what's the likelihood they're gonna be delivered, how they're doing on cost, all this kind of stuff. And we try to right size that upcoming federal fiscal year.
Yeah.
And we just got done with that effort and now the feds have taken a snapshot of what we say we're gonna send to construction over the next 12 months. This is what we're gonna be evaluated on, okay? This is our commitment now that we've said that we're gonna do. So, you know, these are the projects we wanna keep a close eye on, be in close communication with the sponsors and really make sure they get delivered. There's like 3 projects that are, no, 4 state DOT projects, so that's our responsibility back in the office. And then we've got, the green ones are actually the projects that this table has said. Those are your discretionary funds, where this table has said, these are important projects, they want them to get funded. So that's where we really look for this committee's support, is really helping to make sure those 4 are, you know, on schedule and happening. And then we have a PennDOT project. We take care of that back in the office. Probably a bridge that crosses,
Pennsylvania.
the Delaware River, yeah, so we work with them, so that'll go. And then it looks like there's a town of Crawford, so
That,
that's your.
that was supposed to start, and there's a right of way issue. One guy's holding this up for like a 20 by 20 area right of way issue. He's holding
It
it up.
happens.
Well, it's a wetlands. He can't build on it. He wants us to guarantee he can build. It's underwater, but he's from New Jersey. He's an attorney. He's giving us a hard time.
Okay,
We'll go through
we
the
run into
process.
those sometimes, try to get through it, but also we have many a times we did our plan to just.
You guys want to control that corner. It's at an intersection with a light. So they won't let us get, you guys won't let us give a right of way. You guys want to own it outright.
Okay.
That, we
might
know, we
want
had a
to-
meeting with them.
That might have to be elevated then, I should talk to Orietta about it, because if it's
Okay.
that small, we really gotta
Tiny,
we gotta
silly.
be thinking,
Okay, so it's a Route 52 Boniface Drive intersection. You can talk to somebody,
all right, that's.
because we're ready to start. That's it.
Okay, good,
Okay.
okay. All right, but that's, you know, that's kind of what then next year, right, we'll have a new line. And hopefully it's 80% again,
Yes.
or better,
Yep.
okay? All right, good.
That's very good.
But that's the kind of stuff that we need to know, because now we have 12 months to say,
Yep.
hey, let's not let this, we know how quickly the months go by.
Yeah, if you can check on that, it's a tiny little, like, I'm gonna say 20 by 20. And then he owns the rest, and it's all wetlands. He won't give it to us, he's trying to get us to give him a okay.
Well, yeah,
You
we'll
can't
work.
build.
Yeah, what are the other ones? We got a couple of city Middletown, you feeling good about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Not to put you on the spot. And then we have a Newburgh, two Newburghs and Curtis. So hopefully those, I think those guys are also on today's meeting, but they might not be able to see this, but again, that's the kind of stuff we want to be thinking about.
Any other local project sponsor updates?
Alan, we do have a comment. I'm sorry, Dave. I just saw your comment, but you asked to please confirm the resolution. Are we going out for a 30-day? Was that resolution for the was that regarding the amendment for the city of Middletown, or was that for the TIP resolution? Or
Both
TIP
of them
amendment, I
have to
should
go
say.
out.
Sorry.
Both amendments have to go out for a review.
Right.
So we'll get that underway.
The answer is yes.
Okay. That's all for comments.
Do we have any, is Jason on from City of Newburgh? Jason, do you have any updates or?
Alan, I'm on. I gave an update last time that the Walsh Road Bridge was successfully bid and awarded for construction, and we're working with DOT to finalize documents there to start construction. The Broadway pins that are on this chart are also being moved to go out to bid soon.
Well, that's great.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you.
Sandra, if I could ask a question on the bridge on Pennsylvania Avenue and Pike Street. You're handling that. How far along is that, or?
Actually, we're not. So the lead on that is Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So this is just showing the funding that we plan to. But with that said, I'm sure our office has a good contact, so I probably can get.
Okay, it's the first I've heard
if
of it. It's
my-
obviously needed.
Yeah, and if my team back in the office decided to keep it where it is financially, that means they must be making pretty good progress in Pennsylvania on the project.
Okay, because, we surround Port Jervis, so
I
that has
know.
a big effect on Deer Park.
And which bridge is, that's the,
It must be the one
Should
that
be.
connects Manamore,
Matamoros and Port, the steel bridge.
Oh, yeah.
the one that is like
So-
metal.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
metal
yeah.
and they're always welding it because the grates are breaking apart and stuff, so. That'll be good.
Now I feel safe going.
Go fast, just go fast.
But let me see what I can find out. We can get a project update from PennDOT and then share it with you folks, okay?
Okay, thank you.
It's good.
Huh?
So that's on traffic.
We have the other 84 bridge, you'd have to make the circle, but it's not the worst case scenario. It's not like 10 miles out of the way.
Okay, if there are no more, any other local project sponsor updates, we'll move on to the endorsement of the Public Transportation Agency safety plans, the PTASP targets. So this action is the endorsement of the new performance management targets established by the County of Orange transit operators and their Public Transportation Agency safety plans. Existing transit safety performance targets in Table 6. Appendix E of the LRTP will be replaced by these new targets once adopted by the policy board. The plan is to adopt these new operator targets at the December 12th policy board meeting as well. Then we're going to go on. If there are no questions there, I'll go on to the endorsement of the 2024 safety targets. This action is an annual, actually, let me back up. So is everyone okay with, I'm going to ask for consensus for endorsing the Public Transportation Agency safety targets. Can we go back? Okay,
I'll
second?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? Thank you. Almost forgot that important stuff. Next, I'm going to ask for consensus and endorsement of the 2024 safety targets. This action is an annual support of the New York State DOT established statewide safety performance measures. So by agreeing to support New York State DOT safety targets, we're saying that OCTC will plan and program projects that contributed to realizing these targets. This is a target fact sheet that Raina put up on the screen. And we can also share the targets, trends. Oh, there's, yep. No, you're okay. So yeah, you can see the trends, and in this are the official 2024 targets. So they're established by DOT Highway Safety Strategic Plan, and they address 5 federally required items: the number of fatalities, number of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, number of serious injuries, the rate of serious injuries per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, and a number of non-motorized fatalities and non-motorized serious injuries. These targets will be the new baseline highway safety targets in table 2.1 of the LRTP update. Once adopted by the policy board, the targets in table 2.1 will be revised, and the final draft of the LRTP will look to have adopt these again at our December 12th policy board meeting. So I would just ask for consensus to move this on to the policy board meeting in December, and ask for a motion to do so.
On this motion.
Charlie, second. All those members in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving along. Prior to discussing the LRTP and coordinated plan, I wanted to note that we're moving the policy board meeting from November 28th to December 12th. This allows us additional time after the public comment period closes to make any necessary revisions related to the comments on the final drafts to be presented to the policy board. If the closing date for the comment is Friday, November 24th, we simply don't have enough time to make the revisions that may be necessary before the November 28th meeting. So we decided to move it to December 12th. This will allow adequate time to complete the revisions by December 5th to supply the policy board with a revised document 7 days prior to the December 12th meeting. And in terms of the LRTP update, since our last OCTC meeting, we held the 4th and final advisory group meeting on October 11th. And the final draft went out to the OCTC mailing list in advance of this planning committee meeting. And the updated schedule, which I kind of just went through, it's out. We're introducing the LRTP at today's planning committee meeting, as well as issuing it for public comment. And that comment period will run through the 24th. And then we'll have the revisions back based on public comment to the board on December 5th, and have the policy board on December 12th, where we'll be asking for its adoption. So just a reminder to the council members that December 12th meeting is very critical that we have a quorum, because there's a lot of things that we need to take action on at that meeting. And so just please make a note of that. And if you can't attend, provide a proxy for your agency. The coordinated plan, transit human services, transportation plan. If you recall, we had a presentation with an overview of the planning process, outcome strategies. And
They're discussing their availability for
okay.
the December 12th.
Okay.
That's just a bid, that's an association of towns there, and I have the coterminous town village vote, and then we have this, so it'll just be a busy day.
Busy day.
Busy
Okay.
day, 3 things going on.
The 12th is
12th is the.
of December.
It's done for.
It's at night.
Yeah,
What's it not?
there's a
Oh,
zoning
thank
for
you.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Go around Jeff.
Alan, we have a
Bodies.
comment.
Yeah.
David Gilmore wants to know
I'll
about the
get you a
targets
bus.
that were set by New York State.
Take
So-
those buses.
Yes.
Sorry about that, Dave. We have your comment here. You asked if these targets are essentially set by New York State. I seen the safety targets for transportation, and yes, they are annually. If I got that right, Sandra? It's an annual thing.
Yeah, so we're endorsing those safety targets. So with the coordinated transit, public transit human services transportation plan, which we refer to as the coordinated plan, July 11th, we had a presentation for the planning committee. There have been some revisions made, minor revisions made to the transportation plan. Let's hold it up for everyone. It's on the screen. And we'll be asking that the council also adopt the coordinated public transit human services transportation plan at its December 12th policy board meeting. So I don't know that we formally need a motion, but I would ask, why don't I just formalize it? I'll ask for a motion to move both of these items, the long-range transportation plan and the coordinated public transit human services transportation plan, to the December 12th policy board meeting, to be considered for adoption. Second, Mike. Okay. All of those members in favor?
Aye.
And that meeting's at 10.
10 o'clock again.
We'll send out a reminder. An in-person quorum will be required. It's a policy board meeting. And again, if a member cannot be present, if you can please send a proxy. Because it's important. Really not much time left in December to try to regroup or something like that. Any other discussion from the members, comments, questions? Okay. Hearing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.